This is a song for my friends Jaret and Gary. They started a podcast and said a theme was necessary. They're just a couple of guys in a band that you know. Some rockstar dads who started a show. So here's the next episode.
Welcome to the Rockstar Dad Show. And I always say "and" after I do. I say, welcome to the Rockstar Dad Show. And I should be like, welcome to the Rockstar Dad Show. Hey.
Yeah, I mean, it's all right. People get stuck in their patterns and it just becomes their thing. When you said that, it reminds me, like, anytime we go through a drive-through, or anytime we're talking to someone and I'm with Tyler and they go, "Have a nice day," he's like, well, now we're obligated. They told us we have to have a nice day.
Man, I love that. That's great. You know,
Yeah.
It's like the old George Carlin bit, where he does the whole thing about like, saying hello and goodbyes and stuff like that. And then it's just like, yeah. And then it's like, give my love to Dave. Well, now they've got you carrying cargo. What if I don't want to get, or give a kiss to Dave? What if I don't want to kiss Dave?
Yeah. Have you seen the new like shorts or whatever going around where like a dude's hanging out with his girlfriend and one of his friends, and like the friend like kisses on the cheek, says, "See you later, babe," to the dude, and the wife or the girlfriend's like, "What the fuck is it? Wait, what?" And they're just all weirded out.
Yeah. Well, that leads me to a really good one that was going around where and it's so funny because I've been talking about this for about a week and I haven't been able to talk to you or Rob about it, or but there's this trend. Oh, I think I sent it to you guys, maybe, but it doesn't matter. But where these dudes are, their wives tell them to call their friends and tell them good night.
Yeah.
Right. So like these dudes are just sitting around and just like, "Hey man, what's up?" And the dude's like, "Oh man, nothing. What are you up to?" "Oh man, I just called to tell you good night." It'll be like dead silent, right? And one dude is like, "Hey man, what are you up to?" And the guy goes, "Oh man, I'm just trying to get this baby's fever down. And it's a long night, man. We're really going through it over here. What you up to?" And the dude is just like, "Oh man, I just called to tell you good night." And the dude is like, it's dead silent. He just goes, "What the fuck are you talking about?" But
I had just seen those like right whenever they started, and like a night or two later in the BFS text thread, Marco text everyone good night.
Okay.
But I didn't see it till like hours and hours later, but it was dead silent. I think everyone on the thread was like, "What the fuck is Marco talking about?"
Yeah. But what's funny is that Casey said it and I thought it, but like, I think just because of our relationships and like pretty much I could call any of my friends, I think, and be like, "Hey man, I just called to tell you good night." And you guys would just be like, "Yeah, all right, man. Good night. Love you, dude." It wouldn't even seem weird. And so I was thinking about that because I was thinking about, if I would have called you or Rob or Dave or whoever, and like it would probably just start being a thing, where it's just like, "Yeah, I gotta call the boys and tell them good night real quick." And
I could definitely see that turning into an actual thing. But like, if you were to call any of us that first time, we would all have a heart attack thinking that something was horribly wrong.
I know. I'd have to do the thing like, "Everything's okay. I just called to tell you good night."
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I was on vacation, obviously, with Derek and Casey Fisher, and I was just like, I bet if I called to just tell you guys good night, you wouldn't even think it was a big deal. And they were like, "No, it would just seem like something you would do, But man, if you have not seen that trend, guys, you got to go see it because it is flipping hilarious. Coming up later in the show, Pip Marsh is going to be here, and quite a story. That it is a crazy conversation, which leads me into. It's been a heavy few weeks for a lot of us. I mean, Rob has had a really, really rough month. He lost his grandmother and he missed a wedding. And, I'm having this ulcerative colitis flare up that is keeping me. I actually haven't even got to tell you yet, Gary, but I had to cancel my shows this weekend.
Oh, no.
Don't even remember doing that. ever. I don't remember ever canceling even Bowling for Soup shows for this disease, but
you were telling me a little bit about the shows you had this weekend, and it was going to be a challenge because they're somewhat secluded and not the best facilities.
Yeah, I want to give the Pop Punk's Not Dead guys, the Van Full of None guys, a big shout out for being cool about it. It will have already happened when this comes out, but they were amazing. And I'm just having a flare up, but it all of that, and we can talk about UC sometime on the show. I think that'd actually be a great topic to get somebody else with UC on here and talk about it. And I get to call it UC because I have it, Right?
I can't say that.
No, like it's like you and I can call movies films because we're in movies.
Right.
See? But like Joe down the street can't call them fucking films, and he has to call it ulcerative colitis.
And we're from Texas, so we have to say pizza. We can't call it a pie.
We are not calling it a pie. It's not happening. No. And if I offer you a Coke, you're like, you could get a Sprite,
Mountain Dew,
Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
By the way, I just heard this today. For the first time in like soft drink history, Pepsi is not in the top 3.
Whoa.
Number 1, you already know what that is, right?
It's got to be Coke.
Coke. Number 2.
Man, is it still a soda?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, they're all obvious.
Okay. But it's not like Diet Coke?
Nope.
Okay, number 2. There's no way it's Fanta.
No. It's an obvious one.
It's an obvious one.
It's just not Pepsi.
Dr. Pepper?
It's Dr. Pepper.
Really?
For the first time ever, number 3, Sprite.
I'm surprised by that.
Yeah. And then number 4 is Pepsi, and number 5 is Diet Coke.
So Pepsi's been knocked down 2.
Yeah. Over a course of it was a big deal when Dr. Pepper became number 2.
Yeah.
But what's crazy is that, Coca-Cola owns Sprite. So
I'm like the nerd that would be interested to see the math on that, meaning like, don't take these numbers. I'm a moron, right? Sure. But like, let's say that whenever it was Coke was at 1 million and Pepsi was at 990,000, so they're like just almost there, right? It'd be interesting to see if that drop down of 2, the next one up there, is it still like where Pepsi was? Or is it that the lower ones, like, everyone's drinking seltzer waters and this and that? Like, is it those things taking market share away where the number 2 is like actually way lower?
Yeah.
Does that make sense for the question I'm asking?
Exactly. You're saying people are probably, it seems like in this life anyway, people are drinking less soda regardless, right?
Yeah, I guess what I'm getting at is used to number 1 and 2 would equal 2 million, right?
Yeah.
But now does 1 and 2 equal like 1.5 million?
Exactly. Yeah. They had the whole market share. I mean, like every commercial was either Coca-Cola, Mean Joe Green, you want to Hey Kid Catch, or freaking Michael Jackson on fire in a Pepsi commercial. Like either choice of the new generation, like how good is that fucking marketing, by the way? Just, I know I remember everything, but fuck, I just said choice of the new generation. And like, you instantly can see it, right? Like it's how good was just soft drink marketing back then, but they've all had to change it. So the best fucking commercial though is the one that happened just a few years ago, actually, where I guess they had said that Coke had started selling over Pepsi 2 to 1 or something like that.
Okay.
And so there's just this little boy, and he walks to this little shitty grocery store, and he walks out with 2 with change, and he gets 2 Cokes so he can stand on them to get a Pepsi.
Oh my God, that's funny.
Because he couldn't reach it,
Yeah, that's a good commercial, right?
Oh
there.
my God, it is so good. It's like the whole thing of, I just like when they just buy into each other's shit. Like all of those big companies, when they just, oh my God, Gary, fucking Chili's the other day. So TGI Fridays said something to Chili's about their mozzarella sticks, and like online, and said, hey, stay in your lane, mozzarella stick. Next time, check in with us, the real mozzarella sticks guys or whatever. And
Yeah.
Chili's tweeted, or put out on the internet. Okay, noted. We didn't even know you're still open.
Oh man, I saw that. What a burn. And also,
Oh.
man, what's up with TGI Fridays going at our bar?
I know, fuckers. And I mean, and granted, sometimes we do go into a TGI Fridays when we're at the airport, but they don't fuck with us.
Yeah. Or
we've
been to plenty of them too in the UK.
That is true. Well, they took it out, the one, and
Yeah.
then two things happened. They took the one out of Heathrow, and then the other one stopped serving iced tea.
I remember that.
That was in Nottingham. Well, what I was going to say was, and I'm actually glad we kind of got off on a tangent because I don't want the show to be a total downer, but it is Men's Mental Health Month. And my entire feed is obviously filled with men's mental health awareness. And, I know there's a lot of dads that listen to the show. I know that there's a lot of people who have dads that listen to the show. And, just know that, like, I think especially, our generation and the generation before us kind of brought up to compartmentalize our feelings and not talk about anything. And Bill Burr has this new thing where he goes, men are only allowed to be angry or fine, and then he does this whole bit about it. And it's so spot on. I mean, and you can go from either one to the other, like interchangeably or whatever. He goes, we have all these other feelings, but then, he does his bit. I'll just tell you what he says because it's out there. This is not my words, but he goes, all of those rotate. Oh yeah, sure. We feel melancholy and we feel happy and all of those are under this cloud over here called gay.
Yeah. Well,
and obviously,
I'll say this. I kind of not coming from like the mental health point of view, but I guess I did. I just was a little bit unaware that I was coming from there, but talking with Tyler, my son. So in the last couple of weeks of school, 3 weeks of school, maybe, he was just in a sour mood. Now, that being said, he'd had a chest cold. He was sick. Like he just was kind of run down. And just had a million things after school before. So had a crazy schedule, right? So, I mean, he was overwhelmed, overloaded, and didn't feel good. And so, for 2 or 3 weeks, he was just doing the thing where, hey, how's it going? Fine. How's school? Fine. Just shut down. And it was getting under my nerves. It was driving me nuts. But I couldn't come down hard on him because I'm like, he doesn't feel good. This and that, he's busy, all this stuff. And so, after a couple of weeks when he starts feeling better, I did just have to have the conversation with him. I go, hey man, what's going on? You okay? Having trouble with friends? Are you not happy? I know you're busy and you haven't been feeling good, but you've been like this for 2 or 3 weeks. And he's like, I don't know. I'm like, okay, it's totally fine to have these feelings, but if something's wrong, you got to tell me, you got to tell your mom, you got to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the advice for anyone is you got to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Totally fine to have these feelings, but don't bottle it up. And, after we had a little bit of a conversation, he never told me that anything was wrong. He turned around, his attitude's back. I think he was just run down and run out of gas and not feeling good. But the conversation for everyone, talk to somebody.
And, sometimes I think, we think that we're putting on this happy face and, and I'm so guilty of this because, I feel like I'm, like the guy that's got to pick the room up and this and this and this. And so I just assume I'm like that all the time. And then sort of like where Tyler's probably was, I don't realize whenever I'm in a bit of a funk that whenever I'm not on, my body language is showing that, hey, like, is he all right? Kind of something like that. And so, you and Rob will ask me, Dave will ask me or whatever. But I probably am the most comfortable at home. And, I start to realize that Casey is tiptoeing around me. And then she's like, are you all right? Did somebody do something? What is something going on at work or whatever? And I'm like, no, I'm fine. And I do sort of feel like I'm fine, but the weight of the world is on me. And I'm, I'm not taking my body language into consideration. So sometimes, when I think you're hiding behind those compartmentalizations or whatever, and maybe there is something that you need to get off your chest, somebody's like, hey, what's going on? They're just checking in on you. And it's totally okay to talk about it. And, I think more dudes need to band together and have, things like we're so lucky to have in our life, Gary, to where it's like, if I wanted to come up to the front of the bus in the morning and just lay it all out on you guys, you'd fucking sit there and you'd listen, and I'd feel heard. And, we would all walk away and I would feel better. And, and then, but the best part about the whole thing is then you fuckers know what's going on with me, and vice versa. Right. Like, it's just nice to when somebody's in your life to share in their, whatever they're going through, and it makes it less heavy. And, but anyway, I'm not going to dwell on it, because I know the Adam Raimi episode was pretty heavy. That whole thing has been still really weighing on me, because it's one of those things where if you missed that episode, you can go back and listen to it. It's a few weeks ago, but our friend Adam Raimi, took his own life, and, he was, I know you hear this all the time, guys, but he was the literal last person that I would have ever thought. I just am still completely blown away. I mean, happiest of all people, so happy to be a dad with the love of his life. Like, it just, whatever the demons were, they got him. And so I just really, really beg all of you to reach out to somebody. There's help available in so many different ways. punkrocksaveslives.org can steer you into some situations there. I have a new charity in the UK that I'm going to be working with that I should be posting about pretty soon, called Tough Enough to Care. Sorry, I keep fucking that up. And then, of course, any local Dallas people or anybody really anywhere, Amplified Minds here locally is there for you. But so many resources. But, sometimes just talking to a friend, just letting them know, hey, here's what's going on, or, I just need to get this off my chest. I need to say it out loud, and then, because I'm sorry that I'm rambling, Gary, but like, because it's just my whole fucking social media feed is all this right now, because I comment on all of them, because it's part of what I do every day. And, it's just sitting there just going, all of these men, think that, or, they're the rock for their family. They're the provider. They're this. And I saw one today that just broke my heart. He was just like, first of all, we lose, a man a minute to suicide, by the way.
Dang.
A man a minute.
That's a crazy stat.
Crazy. But it just said that there are just this whole percentage of men that are only alive right now because they don't want their daughter to have a dead dad, or their mom to have a dead son, or their wife to have a dead husband. And man, that just got me right. And I was just like, fuck, can you imagine just living your life? I can. I mean, I've been I don't pretend to be, I was never really, suicidal. There were times where I didn't know that I wanted to be here, but I think, I sort of just wanted a spaceship to come beam me up or something, but, anyway, guys, it's, Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, June, coming off of of Mental Health Awareness Month in May. And, I think it's a good thing. Spread the word, check on your friends. We're going to take a break. You're listening to the Rockstar Dad Show, and coming up later in the program, Pip Marsh, who, if anybody was going to be depressed, it would be this guy. And I don't say that lightly, but, a great outtake, great outlook on life, and just a great guy. Y'all hang out. Listen to this. We'll be right back. More Rockstar Dad Show. Welcome back to the Rockstar Dad Show. Don't forget, we're on Adobe Radio, which is, you just go to the website and then you click on there, and we're there every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. And we're also on the Adobe app, which you can grab that app, and there's other shows and there's music. Some of the stations even play Bowling for Soup, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Maybe that's where you're listening right now. And if it is, why not give us a nice little review? Or maybe you're watching it on YouTube or Facebook. Say something nice about us down in the comments. It all helps. We've been doing this show for quite a while. We hope that you're still very much enjoying it as much as we are. And it's full-fledged summer now. I have only been in my swimming pool one time this entire year.
That's wild.
I know. And I don't know what the fuck is wrong with me.
Yeah, I mean, that's like, I don't know. You're always in your pool in the summer.
I know. I gotta figure it out. I mean, we had a busy May, and then we were on vacation, and kind of just got back. But I need to get back in the habit of getting in there. I think it's good for the soul.
Well, if like lack of friends is the motivation that you're missing, just give me a call and I'll come jump in there and drink beer with you.
Well, dude, that I will take you up on that any time. Everett started conditioning yesterday, so I know you're very well aware of this.
Is this with like the high school or middle school, or what is it doing?
Yeah, with the high school.
That's the real shit right there.
Yeah, and so he went yesterday, and we only are making him go twice a week, and he actually asked to go back today.
Wow.
And so I'm really proud of him, man. He's he's put first, he is saying he wants to play football. He's saying he wants to play baseball. He's saying he wants to play soccer. Everett's a bigger kid. Running, I wouldn't say is his forte, not simply just because of the fact of that. It's just he's slow, and but he's strong. And so it's going to be really interesting to see what his journey looks like. I'm excited about it.
That's awesome. I'm happy for him. Happy that he's liking it and, excited and wanting to do all these things. While you're saying that, I was wondering, like, one of the differences between when we were kids and what's going on now is, I don't know the difference. I'm wondering is, whenever we were younger, it's like, if you didn't want to play football with high school, if you didn't want to play whatever, there is still plenty of activity outside of school. Right. Whether it be organized or not, whether it be rec ball or just, hey, the kids up the street are going to go have a soccer game or a football game in the park or whatever, or just run around on bikes and be maniacs. Or, we've talked about how we skateboarded 10 miles across town, whatever. We were just outside doing shit. And I wonder, because now there's so little of that with kids these days. If you're not doing sports with school, you're at home playing video games, maybe go outside for a few minutes, but not much. So I wonder if that may be getting kids to want to do more school sports than before.
Maybe. I mean, it's that he, we're trying not to do the thing where he's just sitting on his phone the whole summer. And it's not easy because it gets hot outside, and his friends are doing other shit, but that's good. He's had a little bit of a cushion. We just got back from vacation a couple of days ago. And so he, that's going to be up to him to figure it out, how to keep himself busy, not on his phone. But I do think that he sees that, that I definitely think that he is wanting that, that just that interaction too, of friends and stuff like that. So, hopefully as the summer goes, he finds a good balance of getting out there. He's got a few friends that'll meet him at the park and play basketball, which is cool. I make sure, like, I'm like, man, I know y'all take your phones. Do y'all just sit there in the shade on your phones and play Roblox or whatever? But he comes back really sweaty. So it must be really competitive Roblox.
Yeah. He's all stressed out about it.
Yeah. Just bitch, man, this Roblox is kicking my ass. But no, I'm really proud of him. It's going to be so interesting to see which way he goes and on all that. And,
is he still going to do music through the school?
So he is doing music through the school. He did not make the A band in 7th grade, but he's in band and he has another chance to make it. But it's kind of on him. He's at that point now to where it's like, I'm not going to sit there and make him practice, like it's just not enough. Like and Casey has been the one to try to push that through for so long. And he's going to be 13 years old. It's like, if this is just not what you're into, it's not what you're into, as long as you're doing something.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that he gets the bug a little bit. For me, I liked band because, that's where I had friends in there, and it was fun. I mean, I really just enjoyed that. But, if it's not his thing, it's not his thing. But he is going to do it, and he's still taking drum lessons and piano outside of school. So we'll see what happens. I took a guitar lesson the other day.
What?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, let's hear about this.
Yeah, so I was just sitting there, and I was watching somebody else play some shit or whatever, and I do the country thing or whatever, and I do, I'm not doing as much acoustic stuff as I used to, but I was like, like, there's this thing that people do when they play acoustic guitar, and they're not just playing the chords, they can go, and make it sound cool and shit. And I was just like, hey, it's called embellishing, right? And I'm like, I just want to fucking learn how to embellish. And so Casey takes guitar lessons, and her guitar teacher is really good. And I just text them, and or email them, and I go, hey, this is going to seem strange. I've never had a guitar lesson. I don't even know how to make all the chords correctly, but I'm pretty good at doing what I do, but I'd like to learn how to embellish.
Yeah.
And so I went and I had a 30-minute lesson, and I've got this stuff that I'm supposed to be practicing. Now, right after that, I left on vacation. And so, but I am kind of setting aside a little time. I know you've been doing this, playing your drums and stuff, but I'm setting aside a little time each day to play my guitar and to work on these little things that he's taught me. And I'm also doing 15 minutes of piano every day.
Man, I'm impressed.
Thanks, man. I'm really excited about it. And I mean, I'm hoping that it sticks. I'm not going to be hard on myself if it doesn't, but the guitar thing is very frustrating because it's all just chord shit, and my hands do not want to do it. I mean, my hands do what they do. And, and so it's like, I don't really remember learning. I remember that it would hurt and stuff, but I don't remember it hurting like this. Like, fuck, that fucking hurts, But I'm excited about it. It's going to be fun.
I'm impressed and excited. I think that's super interesting and cool. And like, it's a weird word, but I think it's brave of you to go like, I want to take a lesson,
Thanks, man.
But we've talked about this in the past of how I'm just jealous of what all the kids have these days. Like, because there's so much stuff online that they can pick up on. And whenever, especially for drums, whenever we were kids, it's like you just listen to it and try to figure it out. And now there's all these videos that teach you these patterns of stuff that will help you improvise if you learn these patterns. And whenever we were younger, your brain just works different. It's easier to learn things when you're younger, but that doesn't mean that you still can't now. So yeah, I've been practicing more than ever before. We always say we don't practice. I've kind of been using it as like exercise also, because whenever you're playing drums, gets your heart rate.
Oh yeah,
so, kind of an aerobic exercise almost. But I've been doing that too at home, and that's interesting. But you're saying that you don't know if it's going to stick or whatever. I don't think that really matters. A lot of the thing about reading, and there's people that tell you, go read and you come up with your best ideas, and it's not necessarily just that you're reading, it's that you're not looking at your phone, you're not watching TV, you're not watching a movie, you're utilizing your brain. And I have the thing, and I think everyone has the thing, whenever you read, there's times where your mind starts going, and then all of a sudden you're like, shit, man, what were the last 5 pages I read? But your brain was doing something, right?
Yeah.
And so with you playing piano or guitar, it's just going to be good mobility, it's going to be good dexterity, it's going to be good practice for your instrument and your songwriting. But also, while you're sitting there doing it, you may just start having ideas that you would have never had before had you been dicking around on your phone.
That's just it, right? So I've got into this dopamine thing, and I have just realized how much time I'm wasting, and just how much of my brain power that I'm just not using. And I was like, I would get the same joy. Like I don't need to watch people, make recipes and shit. But my excuse has always been, Well, that's part of my job, the social media thing. And so I actually, this is crazy. This is full disclosure. I got in a conversation with ChatGPT about it. And I was just like, all right, here's the deal. I'm a creator and social media is a big part of my business. And so I need to figure out what the balance is. And it talked me through all these things and I was asking it questions or whatever. Anyway, I just really learned not really what when we were talking to Brent Smith from Shinedown, and he was like, post and ghost, right? Which I guess is a Joe Rogan thing.
Sure.
I mean, I'm not going to do that because some of the interactions is sort of like what helps your reach and it's, I still need to gain followers and all of that shit. But, it's the idea of that, like you post something and then all of a sudden you look up and you've been sitting there for 35 minutes and then you're going back and checking to see how many people liked your video. And that's the dopamine, right? That's like, oh, I want this instant gratification to be like, oh, fuck, like this one did really well. And so I'm going to take a play sort of out of your book from years ago where it's just like, okay, this is when I'm going to post. And over here is the time that I'm going to allow myself to do this and, blah, blah, blah. And just kind of try to start dividing up what I'm doing, especially at home, to where it's not just a thing where I like do 3 emails and then go check and see how my videos that I posted are doing, and things like that.
It's so easy to get sucked in. You're exactly right. I mean, whether it's I'm going to post and then you end up sitting there watching it or sometimes it's I'm going to go look up how to fix this thing on the garage door, right? I'm going to watch a video. It's a 3-minute video on how to fix this thing. And then 45 minutes later, you've been watching 1 minute, 30-second videos for 45 minutes. You're like, what the hell happened? Exactly. I was going to watch this 3-minute video and then just got sucked in. So I think you're definitely right. Like there's ways to set parameters, whether it's a timer or this or that, or I need to do this too. I'm talking to myself right now, but it is such an awesome tool to have, but it's also such a distractor from everything we need to be doing.
Yeah, it's just like, and some of it's real simple. It's like if you need like that quick shot, of if we're using dopamine, for example, it's like instead of when I look up from my laptop here, my normal thing would be to just like go right here to my phone and check a few things or whatever, and then I come back to my computer and I start working on shit or whatever, and then I look at my phone or whatever, and it's just like maybe instead of grabbing that phone, stand up and stretch for 3 minutes, and fucking do something that like is going to actually make you feel good. And then once you're done with it, you get that same feeling of like, oh shit, I'm really glad I did that.
And there's a powerful thing that if you do start doing that, because I've been doing different exercises and working out and all sorts of stuff, but there's a really powerful thing that happens if you do that, and it's called momentum. Right? Mm-hmm. If you go, hey, instead of sitting on my phone, I'm gonna go do 20 squats, 10 squats, whatever,
right, sure,
10 push-ups, or walk up and down the stairs, just something, right? And you start doing that for 30 days. Guess what? At the end of 30 days, you're not sitting there going, hey, I have to go do this. Like you start getting energy and you start to get
energy. Yeah. Well, that's good to hear. Cause I think that's something I could use the boost. And I think I could use the brain stimulation. And I think I don't think I'm in a rut, so to speak. And I'm not, I'm not depressed or anything. I'm just tired, but I think I'm just feeling like, bleh. And we've been home for a while, like I know we've played shows, but it's been like fly shows and things like this. And, so like, I don't really have, when we're on tour, I just have this sense of like major accomplishment, to where I come back home, I'm still kind of shot out of a cannon and stuff. And I just don't really have that to fall back on right now.
Yeah.
So, I'm just making these little things or whatever and trying these little things out. And we'll see how it goes, man. I'll keep everybody on the show and you posted, and let's talk more about your stuff as well, because I'm super proud of your journey. But we have to take a break. When we come back, Pip Marsh is with us, and it's a great conversation. You're not going to want to miss it. Thanks for listening. It's the Rockstar Dad Show. We'll be right back with Pip Marsh right after this. Back to the Rockstar Dad Show. As promised, a good friend of the band, good friend of the show, our buddy Pip Marsh is here. Pip, how are you, man?
Yo, I'm good. I'm, like I say, blessed to be here. How's it going?
Well, ma'am, you and I met coming out of the pandemic because your band, you guys at the time were doing pretty good, and then pandemic hit or whatever, and kind of shut things down a little bit, right?
Yeah, for us all, it was one of those things where you finally feel that you're kind of making, a bit of traction, and then the rug gets pulled. But obviously, we all kind of felt that massively, and it was a crazy time because it was I've been in a few bands over the years, and it was kind of like, yeah, this is working, and we had this, that, and the other, and management in Los Angeles, and for a little band from England, that's really exciting in itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then it happened, and then it was the Sad Violins came out. That was the end of that.
Yeah, a 2-year break no one was planning on.
Yeah,
but you've kind of made a transition, which is not really, not, I guess, the stereotypical, or I guess the normal transition for a musician from the United Kingdom, especially. I feel like a lot of people are kind of doing it here in the States, including me. And I can't argue that I picked an interesting time to go country. But you've got an alt that I guess they're kind of calling it alt country thing happening, and it's going pretty good, right? I mean, did you do C2C this year?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it's a weird one how I transitioned, because I've always had a love for country music, and I think we've had that conversation when I've been with you before. Like, I remember growing up as a kid and like being surrounded by like Tim McGraw and Kenny Chesney and Kenny Rogers and stuff like that. Like, Ruby Don't Take Your Love to Town was a soundtrack to my teen years, because it was always playing when my mum would get a haircut. And it was one of those songs when you're like, I fucking hate this song, but you're like, actually, I really like it. Like, it's one of those. And I think for me, country always felt kind of, because I have no relationship with my mother, it kind of always has that kind of homely feeling, and it's quite warming. And I think the production itself within country's got that homely feel, right? Because it's authentic.
Yeah.
And it was a weird one. My dad and me got back in touch after a few years, and I've been writing these kind of country songs, I suppose, with my own kind of twist. And my dad and me got back in touch after a few years, and he'd been listening to my old band whenever we were on Radio 1 and stuff like that. And he said to me, he was like, son, he goes, I fucking can't stand that screamy stuff you're doing. And I was like, well, Dad, I've been writing some kind of like country vibes. So I remember showing these demos, and he really, really was into it, especially Happy, which was the first single I released. And he loved it. And he said to me, he's like, son, you need to get to Nashville and take all this with you. And, it's kind of like, oh, yeah, Dad, I will. Yeah. And then obviously a few months later, unfortunately, he passed away. So it was kind of like, right, let's fucking do this thing for my old man. So, just went for it. And it seems to be resonating, doing the old alternative thing.
Yeah. What now? If it's okay to ask, was he sick, or did something happen, or?
Yeah. So my dad, he was an alcoholic for many years. Like my story will be the most incredible book one day.
Yeah.
My dad was a businessman. I grew up very, very lucky. He was a millionaire. We had a big house, we had it all basically. And then he started lending money to he was a potato merchant. So he used to deal with like agriculture and stuff, and basically started lending too much money and not getting it back. And then he ended up hitting the alcohol and hitting it hard, then drugs. And then other things started making appearances. Like, I'd come home from school to a house full of sex workers and a table full of white powder. And I thought, I better clean this up before mum comes home, not knowing what it was. So he was a troubled guy. So alcoholism kind of got the better of him. So we lost everything. I ended up on a council estate. He was homeless. So for a lot of years, we were kind of on and off, because obviously it was tough with him being an alcoholic, and it took me a long time to kind of realize it was an illness. And so, but the last 5 years of his life, he was sober, actually. Well, Cali sober. And But yeah, just caught up with him, man. Just caught up with him. It was so funny though, right? So when he passed away and I had to go to the house, there was that much weed. The police had to come and seize it all.
Yeah, because he had so much piled up, they probably thought he was distributing it.
Yeah, literally, we were finding it for days afterwards, like rolled up behind picture frames and then under the bed, and then little baggies. Like, fucking hell, Dad.
That's crazy, man. Well, I'm
Yeah,
really sorry to hear that. But yeah, I mean, that definitely, I mean, as much as I know about you, I definitely think a book one day is going to be in order for sure. And
dude, yeah.
But okay, so and here you are, and you're doing this now. But you actually are already a dad, and tell us about your family,
dude. It was the best thing, as I speak for all of us here, as being a father. Like, it's the best thing that ever happened to me. If I amount to nothing in life, I'm already a billionaire with my daughter. Her name's Peaches. She's 7. She's the coolest kid. Obviously, every dad says that, but like, I mean, I've sent you pictures before. Like, she's in bands. She's in a little rock band at school called Bloodflower. She named the band as well. So like, she's had performances at school. She does ballet. She does tap. Obviously, she does bass. She's learning drums at the moment. She loves country music. She loves rock music. She's just the best thing that ever happened to me.
Peaches from Bloodflower is like the coolest thing that I've ever heard in my life. Like, it's just like,
dude, honestly,
it's Bloodflower. Their singer's Peaches. That she's already halfway there.
Dude, I wish I'd been half as cool at that age. You know what I mean? And I guess in the 80s and 90s, there was no hope. Do you know what I mean? But today we can guide them.
Well, so I wonder, as she's 7. And, you obviously, you spoke just now about how you don't really have relationship with your mother, and, that you and your dad were on and off, but really sort of mostly off until the last 5 years. How do those relationships affect your parenting or go into your thought of parenting, or even your relationship with your wife and how you guys parent? Like, no, this is like something my dad would have done, and I'm not going to do that. I mean, you've got to be having thoughts like that?
Yeah, dude. Like, I mean, I have therapy. I'm traumatized through everything I ever went through.
Yeah.
I definitely think, I mean, that's what my song Married to Gasoline was essentially about. My dad, how he had this self-destructive button. It didn't make him a bad person, but there were things that he couldn't help but set fire to everything. You know what I mean? But the thing is, for me as well, through everything with my dad, I went to bed every night from the age of 7 up until the age of 11 with my fingers in my ears, because every night I'd hear my dad beating on my mom. Every single night.
Yeah.
Every single night. And it was that bad. Like, he was so sick. It was that bad. He'd do her front and then he'd just do her back. And he'd never remember it the next day. And I still have moments where, like, I think about that.
Yeah.
But then to make things worse, when my mother finally had, the courage to leave, and I don't blame her for leaving at all, obviously. She met my stepdad, who was another level of evil. The beating started on me then.
Oh, Jesus.
And him. And like, he did things to me, man, which, like, dude, like, he used to he's had friends round, and I'm like 13, right? And I remember one night he stripped me naked, tied me up with tape, threw me in the garden, and him and his friends were lighting fireworks and throwing them at me. Jesus. Like, that's a little bit. Do you know what I mean? And I've been through so fucking much. And don't get me wrong, like, it's not a sob story, because everyone's been through shit, right? We just can't let it define us. You have to break the curse, and that's the important thing. And that's what I want to do within my music and my parenting. I want to show people that it doesn't matter what you go through, right? You don't need to be a product of that. You can get out of that, and you can be the best possible fucking version of yourself as you want. And yeah, it's tough. And I think not enough people, especially men as well. Like, I think it's quite stereotypical that, you know, we're men and we don't talk about our feelings and stuff. But at the end of the day, we're still those kids and we still have that shit inside us. And I think it's how you deal with that. And especially as a parent, you do not want your parent. The thought of like raising my voice to Peaches. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm a parent. There's some times when you're like, come on, you've got it. But when I think back to how my dad and my stepdad were, like, I can't imagine it. It doesn't. I can't imagine it. So you break the curse, man. You got to.
I think it's crazy to hear like that kind of story where there's this person in your life that's that evil and doing these kind of things. And I think you can be like, I could see how someone can be like, fuck that, I'm getting away from that and I won't ever do that. But to be at that age and not only have that person in your life, but that person has people around him that are treating that behavior as acceptable. It's pretty crazy that at a young age, at that point, you don't even develop crazy anger or looking at the world of like, I guess that's how the world is. It's impressive, and kudos to you for developing this. I'm not going to be that, and I'm going to, you know, bring something positive and have positivity, because holy crap, man, that's some hard stuff to go througugh.
I mean,
did you have an angry time though as a teenager?
I think I was very timid. I didn't drink until I was 18. And even then I had a bad experience with my stepdad again. It was my 19th birthday party and he'd spiked my drinks. Again, this goes dark and I'm sorry if it's too dark. Feel free to edit it out. But his dad, one night, they both got me drunk and he sexually abused me. Like, I think there's a lot that you go through and it's just coming through it the right way, man. And like, yeah, it's pretty, it was dark. It was a dark time. It was a dark time for sure. But I think that makes me want to make the world a better place and make the world a better place for my daughter, you know?
Was there someone around you that you were, you know, let's say, you know, during all of that, or at least, you know, after your 19th birthday or whatever, that you were able to like start talking about it and it like sort of helped you to go, oh man, I need to get some help. I need to go to therapy. Or was that just something that you just, you know, you just knew internally, like, man, I got to go talk to somebody?
I mean, I tried to escape as soon as I could. I remember, obviously, I've always been a singer since I was a kid. I was always at the center of attention, you know, whenever we go on holiday, karaoke and stuff like that. So I think when I got to 19, I was like, I'm going to try and get myself to college and sing. And I managed to get an audition at a college. My grades weren't there, but I got through just through like my talent. And as soon as I could, I moved away and I moved in with my nan. And then I stayed with my nan for a couple of years. I still had to deal with my stepdad because they were quite close. But no one ever really knew about what happened until many years later. You know, one, it was so hard to talk to him. My sister as well, like, she holds guilt to this day that because she's 7 years older than me and she just got out of there. She's got the fuck out of there. And she looks back and she's like, I should have been there for you. And she was a police officer as well. She still is. But at the same time, I see her situation where she just started this new job, but then there's her little brother who's going through this. Could it jeopardize her job? I kind of get it, you know? So there was no one I could really talk to. I think it took me, you know, moving out of my nan, then with my auntie, and then going to university and cutting ties to get away with it. And like I say, I was very angry for a long time. I drank a lot. I took drugs. I had a bit of like a thing with just kind of sleeping with a lot of people. And I went for a really kind of, you know, like I was in my 20s and it was just a bit crazy. I think I dealt with it in my own kind of way. But I know I never really spoke about it until obviously to my partner. I spoke to my partner and stuff like that, but it's not until recently that I like my auntie knew about it or anything like that. It was something, but I think it is important to talk about it because I think if I hadn't held it in so long, I wouldn't have been so off the rails, you know. For a long time.
I mean, it's, you know, you're right though about you know, obviously just trauma in general, whatever. We are men are a a creature of we're not good communicators, especially my generation. Our dads, told us to rub some dirt on it and get back up on the freaking horse. And, but even then, I mean, I said this yesterday during an interview that I was doing about mental health. I was like, I'm guilty of it. My daughter, could stub her toe and I it was the end of the world, but either of my boys, skin their knee or, bust their leg open or whatever. I mean, it's fine. It's fine. You're a boy, get up there. And so I think it's hard for men to make themselves vulnerable. So I've been looking for a charity to get involved with in the UK, and I finally found one that I'm going to serve on the board of directors of.
Amazing.
And it's called Tough Enough to Care. And it was started out by some rugby guys who it was started mostly for men, who, thought basically, hey, listen, we're these tough rugby guys, but we've got problems and things, but now we're open to everybody. But I just think it's so important, to share your story and to share your experiences. And then, but not only that, as Gary said, to talk about the triumph of coming out of it on this side, and not to say that you're not still dealing with a lot of shit, but like, hey, I'm going to make sure that my daughter doesn't experience these things, that my partner doesn't experience these things, that, that those around me don't see that this is that any of that was okay, So again, I'm proud of you, man. I think it's and that had to be some scary shit, it really did,
Yeah, it's funny because I talk about it like now quite openly because obviously I'm, I like to, like you say, let people know that it's okay, and sometimes I forget about like how dark it actually is. And some people are like, bro, I'm like, so sorry. Yeah, it was a dark time, and I'm still battling with it in my own way, but I think it's important to, I'm all about positivity, and I want the world to smile. And I think, and if I want my daughter to have the best possible life she can have, and yeah, it doesn't matter where you come from. You can do it anything you want,
Yeah, man. I think that's amazing. Well, so she's 7 and
Yeah.
she's very musical, you're saying, right? Or is she into music? I think you
Oh,
just
dude,
said, right?
yeah. She loves it.
Oh yeah, she's in the band. I forgot. I'm sorry. You're our third interview today. And it's literally it all just kind of came. I was so locked into your story. I fucking forgot about Peaches.
No one's had as cool of a band name today, though.
Yeah,
I mean, let's be honest.
Jesus Christ, you're right, man. You are so right. And so what are some of the things that you guys are doing, as a family and spending your time? You guys, what do you do for holiday and things like that?
So holidays, really, we only really went on our kind of first proper one last year. We went because we wanted to wait till she was kind of old enough to like really enjoy it. So we saved up and we went to Greece, and that was incredible. Went to Crete and just spent, I think it was like 7 or 10 days, just kind of just by the beach, by the pool, just hanging out. We left, well, for the most part, we left Peach's mum reading in the sun, sunbathing, doing her thing, and we were just playing in the pool all day. So, that was great. But yeah, she loves to come to what she can. She came to watch me at C2C, and that was the first time she'd seen me play live as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a big, proud daughter moment. And it was a big deal for me as well. Like, do you know what I mean? Like the first time my daughter getting to watch me at like the biggest thing I've probably done as a solo artist.
Yeah.
So yeah, that we just like, we like to go to the movies and we'll go to the arcade randomly. And yeah, she's like my best mate. It's just amazing, isn't it? When they get to, when they get past the drooling drunk toddler thing, which is still amazing, when you can go out and do things together and like, have actual conversations and like do things together. Like it's like play House of the Dead in an arcade together. It's like rad.
Yeah,
So
it is.
cool.
It is just the best, just to, me and Everett went to the arcade recently, and And he was like, "This is like the best day ever." I'm just like, and I was like, "Man, you're right. This is awesome." You know, like we just stayed there for like 3.5 hours and just had the best time. And it's just those moments, like you just sit there and you're like, God, I hope they remember these. You know, like you just want them to remember it so bad. But I mean, what the juxtaposition as an artist for you, you know, going from, you know, what you were doing before, and remind me of the name of the band. I'm so sorry that I don't remember. I just know you.
It's cool. Yeah. So we were dead small. We were called the Uma, and it was
that's right. The UMA, right? Yeah, the Uma. That's right.
Yeah. That was the one.
But I mean, things were going well, and then, you know, but this solo thing seems like you've been really passionate about it. And I remember you telling me about it backstage at our show in Manchester. You're like, "Hey, I'm going to do this or whatever," and you know, and I was expecting it to be good, but I really dig it a lot. I think you're onto something. What's the plan for? Is there more music in the works now?
Yeah. So I've just come back from Nashville. My management's based out of Nashville. A lovely human called Kristen Lee. She's incredible. She flew me out, and like I spent 7 days. So I played Whiskey Jam out there. So Thomas, our friend Thomas Nicholas, hooked me up with Ward, who runs Whiskey Jam. So I played that, and he was blown away, which was great. I did a writers round called Rebel Rouser, which was incredible.
Nice.
So that was a lot of fun. And then I was writing with so I'm really good friends with Jelly Roll's guitar player Casey Strums, and Matt Ferrante, who's the piano player. So we wrote a song which we're gonna get, it's being produced at the moment. And then I went in and wrote with a wonderful man called, his production name is Scattered Brains, and he did a lot of the early Jelly Roll stuff, Yellow Wolf, Struggle, Jennings. So it was me, him, my boy Luke from Lakeview, because obviously I went on tour at Lakeview, and a guy called Mason who does guitar for like Justin Bieber, another great guy called Zach who struggles guitarist. So I had a whole bunch of amazing, talented people come in, and we wrote a few songs, and they're all being produced at the moment, and as well as working with my guy Andy over here. So there's a lot of cooking going on. I'm really excited to see you know, what I'm going to put out next. It's just kind of figuring out what I want to put out, and yeah, I'm very excited. A lot of stuff coming, man.
It's funny how different country is, right? Like you go in and you write this song with these guys, and then they're like, "All right, we'll get the track together for you," you know. And it's just like, whereas in most other kinds of music, you go in and you write a song, and then it's your responsibility. Like, okay, I'll take this to my guys, and we'll do this. And so, you know, but I mean, it's interesting because you'll have some choices as far as like, okay, I really kind of want to go this direction or this direction, and I think that'll be super cool, man. It's how do you find Nashville?
Dude, I fell in love. I think like my manager, she's just like, I think we need to get you out here. We need to move you and the family out here. And I'm like, if you can make that happen, we are there.
What is it? How does the family feel about that? Or at least your partner?
Down to clown.
Yeah.
Because I just think that was the first time I've been to the States ever. So it was just the biggest eye opener in the world. Like everything tastes better as well.
You're the second English. I read an article that somebody else was saying earlier, and I was an MMA fighter, and he was like, "Yeah, I gained like 15 pounds when I go to the U.S. because everything just tastes so good." You know?
Oh, honestly, I think honestly, I put a Dunkin' Donuts in my mouth, and I felt like I'd won the lottery. I was like, "What is this?" Like, yeah, it was incredible. Went to a place called Jeff Ruby's as well in Nashville, and they did like this. They brought this dessert out, and it was like a Nike trainer with a Louis Vuitton print, and it was chocolate with Oreo inside it, and it came in like a light up box. I'm just like,
America.
I was like,
yeah, it is. It's just wait till you get to Texas for the first time, and you're.
I can't wait to visit Texas.
The portions sizes are, you know, you just look at your. I mean, I've lived here my entire life, and sometimes I look at my plate, and I'm just like, what? How am you know, what the fuck is happening here? There's a fucking cow on my plate, but sometimes you just got to fucking power through and get that.
Yeah, man, literally, I can't wait.
All
Can't
right,
wait.
so
Like,
new music, and are you playing any shows? Are you playing shows there in the UK at all?
yeah, I've got a show on Saturday actually, at a place called the 45. It's a bit like a listening room kind of vibe, Bluebird Cafe kind of feel. So doing that, supporting an artist over here called Amelia Quinn, supporting her. So that's going to be fun. And then I've got Buckle and Boots Festival, which is like a country festival in Manchester. I've got that at the end of the month. And another one in Essex in August. And now I'm waiting on a few tours at the moment. Well, like sitting there like this, like, please.
Yeah, right.
That's the game at the moment, the waiting game. That's the waiting game right now. But yeah, that's what's going down for me, show-wise.
Love it. Well, it'd be good though if you got management here. Hopefully they because the country's going so well over there. Hopefully you're able to jump on as support. For some American things.
That's what I was going to ask. With management here in the States, are they focusing on trying to get you stuff over here, or building it over there, or where's kind of the focus on that?
I think it's just that case of like whatever we can get.
Yeah.
Let's grab it kind of thing. I mean, I'm down for everything. I think it's all about just throwing yourself in, isn't it? And just doing whatever, especially, I'm still a baby artist, essentially, you know what I mean? So I'll take it all. I want this, and I think I just really want to get my music out there. And again, I think with my music, I want to, like I talked about Married to Gasoline being about my dad and stuff like that. Like, I want to spread that message. You know what I mean? I really want to change things. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many people I know that are just like, I just see people and I'm just like, you don't have to be that way because you had a bad time. Like, you can build the fuck you want.
Yeah, you want to use your powers for good.
Yeah, bro. That's what I want to do.
The same way, man. I feel the same way, and
you certainly do that. You boys certainly do that.
Thank you. Well, the guys are gracious and give me my few minutes to talk my mental health stuff and all of that on the stage. But I just think I think we all think it's equally as important, and and it just is. It's a hard life's life's awesome, but it can be difficult, and I think just people like us sharing it and talking about it and sharing our stories and our message, again, you hear it all the time, but it's true. You help one person, who's been through something like what you've been through to realize that they can reach out there and that doesn't have to define them.
Exactly.
It's really done something great.
I think with music as well, like even looking back, like if I'm thinking back now to living with my stepdad and I went through that horrible time, like Bowling for Soup was one of the best things that kept me going.
And
you know what I mean? And I remember when I first met you and I was just like, fuck, because I remember this. I think I told you this as well. I remember I had a girl that lived up the road from me when I lived in Telford called Amy, and she had her like 15th birthday party or 14th birthday party, and my stepdad wasn't in, and my mom let me go, and they were playing, like, we were listening to like Bowling for Soup and Blink and whatnot, and I sang "Girl All the Bad Guys Want" on stage in her garage, and I escaped from everything for those few minutes, and that's because of you. So thank you,
dude.
Both.
God damn it, I can't think of any greater compliment or any greater thing that I've ever heard. Thank you, and I appreciate that. And
thank you,
everybody. Pip Marsh, you can find him on. Well, actually, just let everybody know where they can find you.
Just Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Just the Pip Marsh, and there I am, just in my glory. Just look for me.
Check out the song "Happy." It's out now. Lots more coming. And
yes.
Dude, thank you for being on here, man, and sharing your story. Come back anytime. Seriously,
thank you for having me. Like, I'm blessed to be part of it and to get on with you guys. And yeah, thank you ever so much. It means a lot.
Great to have you on, brother.
Hopefully, we'll see you at Wembley.
Yeah, baby, mate. If I can get there, I'll be there, baby.
All right. Hey, everybody else. Again, I try to tell you this all the time. Show's over. Get out of here.
This is a song for my friends Jaret and Gary. They started a podcast and said a theme was necessary. They're just